We are Burning Youth, a blog collaborative of young adults who believe that the light outshines the darkness and our voices outlast the voices in our heads. We are louder. So it's really common to go through social media feeds like Twitter or Instagram or Facebook and see your friends, or possibly even, maybe you're the one writing the post about, oh, I have schoolwork and I have this test and I'm freaking out and I'm staying up late and crunching on all this stuff and the hustle and the grind, and it's just crazy. And I think that's something that we all deal with in our everyday lives, especially if you're in school and you're working towards maybe a goal with your schoolwork and you have some deadlines stacked up. That can be something that's a little bit tricky to deal with and be able to stay present within. A lot of times we're kind of just looking forward to it being over and we're just kind of focusing on, let's plow through this thing and get it done. I know that for me as a writer, when I'm editing a novel, trying to get it to that, day where it's finally in print, I'm just thinking about, I just want to get through all this editing and all this work and just crunch through it. And a lot of times in the hustle, we can lose our present state of mind and enjoying the moment. So today we thought, Abby's here as well.
Hi.
We thought we would talk a bit about, what are we calling this? Be here, right? Be here. So that's kind of going to be our mantra. Our anthem for this episode is be here, and talking a bit about being here. This is something that we've both been talking about over the past couple days. We were talking about earlier with scheduling, how you can kind of lose yourself in a schedule, and you were saying how that kind of, you feel that.
Yeah, I feel like that's something I've encountered a lot in my life lately, and for a while, is just because I'm a very much goal-minded person, so I schedule a lot of things into my day, week, month, life, and I find that the more I schedule and the more I plan and the more I make work for myself, the less room I have to be creative. And usually the days or hours which I take off or just allow myself to be quiet-minded and restful are the times where I get my best ideas or I feel the most creative. And when I'm constantly giving myself things to do in task lists and schedules, those are the times where I really feel stressed in my mind and pressured so much to the point where I am unable to be creative or to create.
Right.
Unless it was in a plotted thing.
Right. And I know that I read a lot of the comments on Burning Youth on the blog. I try to always read all the comments that come in, the emails we get. And I know a lot of our readers and contributors both are, a lot of you guys are in school or you're pursuing careers of some kind, or you're doing things that support your hobbies, like maybe singing or dancing or drawing or pursuing a trade. And so all of those things added up that you're trying to juggle, you find yourself under a lot of pressure, oh my gosh, when am I going to have time to maybe just kick back and let some creativity blossom and feel rested. And I think that's one of the big things that we struggle with a lot in modern society is, even if it's not that you're trying to produce something creatively, if it's, I just would like to have a rest day. Our society is constantly, going, doing. And so it's okay, well, I just want some space where I can rest and I can wake up and feel refreshed. Even if you're not sleeping, but I mean rest in that you wake up to a new day and you know that, hey, this is going to be my rejuvenation time. Now, the thing that I think we deal with a lot is that we don't necessarily have time to just do, have a rest day necessarily, which I think rest days are great. Take one whenever you can. Take one a few times a week. But one of the things we had talked about earlier was don't blow past the yummy moments. And then I kind of asked myself in my head, well, what are the yummy moments? And really, the answer is every moment. Every moment can be, most moments anyway, unless you're under an extremely stressful situation. Most moments can be a yummy moment. You can find the goodness, you can find the grace and the sweetness. You can bring some sweetness and lightness to that moment. So even if you're doing something like, trying to crank through some homework, try to bring some sweetness to that moment.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of times it's hard for people to do that because of, like we like you were saying, kind of society has created this norm of hustle, 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 and then you'll be able to relax when it's over, when it's done. And instead of finding the actual relaxation in the hustle.
Right.
So like moving with kindness and
Right.
with rest with peace through everything that you do.
Right.
And kind of finding the peace in what you do, and not even so much, even if it's a stressful situation, you might not be able to find like anything relaxing about it, but you can find something to be grateful for about it, and something that is good and beautiful, and something that is a blessing in your life, so even in the stressful moments.
Maybe even having the attitude of, instead of, oh, I have to do this, instead, I get to do this.
Oh.
That's been one I've tried to remind myself of, like when I'm editing and I'm ready to throw my laptop out the window. No. But when I'm getting really frustrated, I'll think, at first, my first initial thought will be like, I have to do this. I'm not getting it done fast enough. I try to remind myself, I get to do this. This is a privilege that I'm alive and well and getting to edit this book. So getting to, this place of reminding yourself that you are blessed to be able to have the ability to do whatever it is you're doing. And then there are other little like practical things you can do, I think, that help make a situation better. Like, let's say, you're, pounding away at some homework or editing, or maybe, editing something on the computer, like a song or, a project. Instead of it just being something where it's like, rigid, hard, I'm on a schedule and I'm focused and, everything's really cold and rigid, maybe trying to relax a little bit, maybe, read a scripture beforehand, or go into the situation with having an intention to try to be more soft and creative, or make yourself a nice cup of tea, have some tea while you do it, have some chocolate.
I agree. And even just taking small little like macro breaks in whatever you're doing.
Right.
Like I was finding that I was doing a lot of video editing a few days ago, and after about hour 5 or 6 of staring intensely at the tracks on my computer screen, I was realizing that my eyes were hurting a lot.
I can imagine.
And so the next day I did it, I kind of moved through my activities in a way just with a thought of, be kind to your eyeballs today.
Right.
Because your eyeballs serve you well, and they're very important in your life. You wouldn't be able to do anything you're doing right now without your eyeballs. And so I kind of moved through my tasks for that day of video editing, just taking small breaks, even just shutting my eyes for a minute and breathing.
Right.
And that can be incredibly rejuvenating, just listening to the sound of your breath. Take 5 deep breaths and then go back to what you're doing.
Right. Or, go for a walk. If it's a nice day, pop outside, go for a 5-minute walk.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to be out there for 3 hours.
Unless you get lost.
So, we totally stole that from Messy Mondays, in case there's any Messy Mondays fans listening to this. So don't blow past the yummy moments. Every moment can be a yummy moment if you bring the yum. Just bring something yummy. Just find it.
Bring the yum.
Bring the yum. There you
Dang
go.
it.
That's your mantra. Right there. You're sitting down to some homework, or you're doing something that maybe you don't like cleaning out your closet for spring or something. Find the yum. Turn on some Owl City music, crank it up, make some like ginger green tea, and there you go. Find some yum. Find some yummy. Another thing is that that you had talked about, another practical way to apply this is having a journal. Like, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I thought that was really interesting. It's something that I've never attempted, but I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, so since the beginning of the new year, January 1st, actually January 2nd, because I was busy on January 1st, I started writing in a morning journal. So morning journal or morning pages, it can be called, is kind of a different way of journaling, not so much just taking note of everything that you do, because I've tried journaling like that in the past and I just cannot stick with it because I'm like, oh, how boring. I have to review everything I've done. Like, that doesn't interest me. I can't stick with that. I mean, it's great if some people like doing that, but for me, I find that I can only really write down my feelings and emotions on a thing. Morning pages has been really helpful for me because it's basically before you sit down to do any of your creative work, you just empty the clutter in your brain. So get everything off your mind, all the emotions and feelings, maybe ideas, maybe things that don't make sense to you at the time, they're just thoughts. Any of the clutter that's sitting on your back burner, just clean it off, write it down, and then close the book, don't read it, and move on to your creative work.
One of the things I think is remarkable about that is you are in a very practical way allowing yourself to be present, because a lot of times we divide our attention so much that we're neither here nor there.
Yeah.
We have our phone, we have our tablet, or we're talking to someone and we're thinking about a to-do list or email or social media or something, and we're so divided that we're never actually present.
Right, I agree.
And so I think that's a great way to kind of, like you were saying, just dump all that out, get it off your chest, close the book, and just allow yourself to just soak in the moment.
Exactly. Yeah, and then you can approach your creativity and your work for the day with more of a clear head, I find.
So those are just a few ways that we had kind of been talking about that we can sort of ground ourselves in the present moment and really enjoy what's unfolding right here, right now. Not living in the past and dwelling on things we've done, not worrying about the future, but living right now and finding grace and bringing some sweetness to our daily lives and work. We wanted to end on a quote, actually a verse today, from the Psalms, Psalm 46:10. Love this verse. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. May you find grace and joy today as you live presently. Thank you, guys.
So long.